special edition of Largemouth American Community News. I'm Roger Norum. This week, instead of telling you about what's happening in Largemouth Mamaroneck, we thought we might give you some ideas to how we put this Largemouth Mamaroneck Community News program together. Some of the people behind the scenes, some of the people you see on a regular basis in front of the camera, and on a not-so-regular basis who help make the program possible. One thing to remember as you watch this program is that everyone you see is a volunteer for Largemouth Mamaroneck Community News. With us this evening is Rita Blockton, the executive producer of the program. The regular director of the program is Jeff Montanaro, and regular reporter and cameraman, teleprompter worker, what have you, Sven Oehme. Let's start off with Rita. Rita, you're sort of the jump starter of this program. What do you do in real life?
A lot of things, but my profession right now is I'm in real estate, and I work for Julia Fee in Larchmont, and that's basically what I do.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff, what about you?
And I'm in carpets. I install carpet, I sell carpet, I repair carpet. Carpets, I'm in carpets.
And Sven Oehme.
Well, I'm just starting as managing director of the newly formed European American Chamber of Commerce in the United States.
All right. And I'm Roger Norum, and I guess I normally work in news. I work as a writer, producer, editor at CBS Radio Network in New York City. With that, let's go on to why did you get involved? How did you help get this program started, Rita?
I guess it was 2 years ago. They wanted to start a news program.
Who's they?
The big board, the LMC TV board. And we were talking about it, and I had very briefly, I think for like 3 months, worked at Channel 5 producing a news program. So I loved it, and I was really into it. So I thought, well, one day I'll go back and do it. Of course, slowly you get older and older, and it doesn't look so. But I thought it would be good to keep my hand in. And I thought it would be a great opportunity. And it is.
And mechanically, how did it all come about?
We had our first meetings, and a lot of community people came. And a lot of us are the original people that were at the meetings. And I think it's worked out very nicely.
What about you, Jeff? Why did you get involved in the news program?
Well, I'm into animation. Animation is my hobby, and they have, here at Studio 2, we have...
cartoonist animation?
Yeah, cartoons and graphics, any kind of moving thing. I've always wanted to draw. I've always never had the ability to draw. But with the new computers that are out, they give you that, you don't really have to draw. You can just, work with the computer, and it does most of the work. So that's basically the reason I got into this, was the working with animation.
Now, as a director, though, how much animation do you do?
None. I've been doing this for 2 years now, and I haven't done any. The opening sequence was about it for all we've done. Actually, I haven't done much. There is no computer at the other studio. Which, if the board's listening, we'd like another Amiga computer at Studio 1, please.
For those of you who may not know, we're in Studio 2 of the LMC TV channel 35 and 36. Soon to be, I guess 35 is going to be reactivated into more of a live...
They're going to show the village board meetings.
And town board meetings, school board meetings, and which is very, very exciting. And also will provide more material for us to use on the news program. Sven, what about yourself? Why did you get involved?
Well, I came to Mamaroneck in early 1989, and I read about...
That's the second time, I understand, though.
It's the second time, yeah. 25 years before, I was here for a year and went to school at Mary Avenue. And so when I had an opportunity to come back to work in New York City, I thought, well, where do I want to live? And I said, city is probably exciting, but Larchmont and Mamaroneck are it's such a nice area, so I want to live there again.
And how did you find out about the program?
I read about it in the newspaper, and then I thought, well, first of all, I'm interested in the media business. I've worked in publishing. And also I thought it's a good opportunity to meet people, to get involved in the community, to just know what's going on, and really get to know people and make new friends and so on, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. What about the mechanics of putting the news program together? It's a 15-minute show normally. every week. It's put together. How does it come about? What happens, Rita?
I call Roger Norum and I say, Roger, what are we going to do this week? And then somehow it happens. We're on a schedule that every Thursday we have news. So people either know to come in and be interviewed, or stories have started to come in, actually. So basically, we try to tape things during the week, but mostly we do it Thursday.
Where do the stories come from?
Sometimes people tell us what's going on. Very often we look in the paper to see what's going on.
And then also from village board meetings, or
The village, yes,
and
absolutely.
the rumor mill at the hairdresser, or what
Right,
have you.
right.
And it develops. Jeff, what about you as far as news stories that you've worked on? What have been the more satisfying ones for you?
Oh, I don't know. I think the one that we did on the firehouse story, and the lights. I think that was a big. Those were big stories that we covered.
The lights at Harbor Island. In fact,
yeah.
we're about due for a follow-up to that to see,
Yeah.
now that the lights are in at Harbor Island, what has been the reaction to the people who are most affected by them?
Yeah, they like it. I didn't see the been down to see the lights, but I've been there from the outside. I've seen it from the outside, and it doesn't
Over
look
on
like there's-
Shore Acres side
Yeah, and it doesn't.
area?
I look for the haze. You know, everybody says there's going to be like a glow from it, but I haven't seen it. It seemed to me that it was contained. It's really contained inside the park itself.
Okay, well, that's another aspect of a story that happens in our community that we would like to do a follow-up, and it's a matter of taking the time to go and speaking to some of the neighbors in Shore Acres who are most affected by the lights and getting them on camera to talk about it. Also to talk to some of the ball players who are affected by the lights and how they like them and how excited they are about them. But what about some of the stories you've worked on, Sven?
Well, I can't really remember one story that I really liked very much, but what was really fun was when we did our almost live show at the Fireman's Carnival, when we taped the news show out there, and it was the first time I anchored. So that was really experience, and we didn't have a teleprompter, so it was, I guess, like it was in the old times.
For those of you who may not know, a teleprompter is sort of a cheating device that people in the camera industry or the television industry use, where the words are on a typewritten page and scrolled in front of the camera, and it looks as if the person has memorized everything that they've said, and it makes it look a lot more real, or I guess professional.
What was your favorite story?
Oh, I've had so many. I got very interested in the harbor, the softball lights
Yeah.
at Harbor Island, and also the firehouse controversy that got started. One of my big things really is to bring as much, I would like to have as much of the villages and the town exposed to the community as much as possible. My ideal is to have every school board meeting, study sessions, the regular meeting that they have once a month, all those televised live, if possible. Ideally to have a full-time, not a full-time, it's not feasible, but somebody who can take the time to be dedicated solely to Mamaroneck Village and cover Mamaroneck Village, solely to Mamaroneck Town. A lot of people don't really understand the relationship between Mamaroneck Town, Larchmont Village, Mamaroneck Village, Rye Neck. There are a lot of little subtleties involved that affect the real estate prices, the school districts, the elementary schools, the Rye Neck School District. Our community is getting smaller and smaller because of the communication that we have. And this vehicle, this LMC TV, to me is so exciting. And I hope
nice to have two studios.
I hope someday that we could have a half-an-hour news program, and if we get enough people, and it's time, as we all know, it's very time-consuming to put a news program together. Why don't you describe a little bit about how the news program starts on a Thursday night and some of the process you go through?
We start around 6 o'clock, and usually we go on around 8:39. If we have to be out by 10. So we're usually in there by 6. We put the set together, and by the time we've balanced all the cameras and got the sets together and figured out who's going to be on for the night show, it's about 8:30. It's a lot smoother now. When we started 2 years ago, it was pretty hectic because we didn't know where to get the news stories from. Now they seem to come to us, you know, so it's a little easier. Rita does all the work. She deserves all the credit, folks.
No, that's not true.
If any of you, by the way,
She does
that
all
might
the
be
editing.
watching this program, if you see something happening, you happen to have a video camera, and you do take a little bit of video, bring it by, and we can record it for the news program and add it to our news show. Also, if you have something happening in your neighborhood about either something that sounds like it shouldn't be happening, and you want to let the rest of the community know, and you want to see about maybe possibly exposing what might be a controversy, let us know about it. We'll look into it, and we'd like to be your community news show. Sven, what about you? What do you do when you come in on a Thursday night?
Well, usually I try to do what I want to do before I come to the studio. I guess at the beginning of this year I started to write stories, so I try to write them in the office on the computer and then bring them in so that we can start a little bit earlier, and to relieve you, because you usually write most of the stories, to just give a little bit of relief to you.
Yeah, well, it's enjoyable doing some of the writing. Sometimes initially, when you have to do it all yourself, it does get a little bit overwhelming sometimes. But now that everybody seems to be doing it a little bit, and we're getting, I think, more and more people on camera, it takes a little bit of the load off myself and Bill Littauer, who's pretty much a regular. And what are some of the other aspects of the new show that have been kind of fun to do?
Well, like Sven said, I like to write as well, and it's hard to write for somebody else. You know, I mean, it's easy when you're writing for yourself. You know how you speak, you know your inflections and your own voice. But when you write for somebody else, sometimes it's better if the person that does it rearranges the words. I know I've given you a few of scripts, and what goes out is never what I've written down. It's always you change everything completely around. I think there was one story I did on the birds that you read. I was so proud of it because you read it verbatim as I wrote it. You read every single line, and that, I think, was the high point for me when as he read every line. That was a good start for me.
I'm glad I did that. Rita, I think it might be kind of interesting to let the people know mechanically that the show, as they see it on a nightly basis, is not really how it's put together on Thursday night. How's that process go?
The anchors, whether it's you and Bill or whoever would be filling in that night, do their whole takes. And each story is done one after the other. Then you take that, the editor will take that and fill in either the video or the story that goes with it. So it's really chopped up. It doesn't flow smoothly. You have to put each piece behind it or with it or whatever. And it takes several hours to do that. Later the following day, we edit.
Right. But the most labor intensive as far as the number of people you need and everything happens on a Thursday night. And so all the bits and pieces are rough draft, I guess, if you will, is put together on a Thursday night, and then Friday afternoon.
It's edited together.
Yeah, how does that process work?
Well, it's wonderful now. Jeff edited the last show, and you did a fabulous job. So it's not easy. It takes a lot of technical training, I guess. You have to really practice to get it down, and we only have, how many hours to do it in?
3 hours. 3 hours.
And 3 hours sounds like a long time, but every edit supposedly is either a minute or 5 minutes, I forget which. But you think it's going to be very easy. You make a mistake, and then it takes you 20 minutes to rectify the mistake. So you really have to be able to
And the door is wide open for anybody willing to learn
That's right.
that aspect of it. So, well, thanks for being with us. Jeff Montanaro, Sven Oehme, Rita Blockton, members of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News Team, and there are many, many more who work in front of the camera and behind the camera. And it's a real pleasure to do the Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News program every week. And we've been at it now for about a year and a half, I think. Any of you who might be interested in joining us, you're welcome to stop by on a Thursday night, 6:30, 7 o'clock, thereabouts. Watch and take a look and see what we do. We're located in the LMC TV studios of the Palmer Avenue unit of the Mamaroneck High School. As we've said probably 100 times before, it's just up the stairs from
Walter's Hot Dogs.
And that's about it. Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News in this special edition. I'm Roger Norum.
They're the people behind the cameras, behind the technical control boards, the people who really make the program possible by getting it on the air. Now, the reason we're doing this is because we'd like to introduce you not only to us, but to what we do and the kind of people who put this program on. We think you'll find that many of them are just like you, and we hope that many of you will want to join us and work on this program with us. So let me first introduce the people we're going to be talking to today. Nancy St. Licfer is Larchmont Mamaroneck Community Television's Volunteer of the Year. Nancy, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be talking to Nancy. And we'll also be talking to Monique Citron. Monique is a regular here on LMC Community News. And also to Lynn Goodman. Lynn has joined us, and she appears both on the air and works behind the camera. And also Barbara Brown, who is our foreign import to LMC News. And we'll tell you why in just a minute. But now, let's go back and meet each of our participants, our volunteers, in more detail, starting with Nancy St. Licfer. Nancy, you're very active in LMC TV in a number of ways. Tell us how many. Count the ways.
Count the ways. Oh, gosh, I do a lot of behind-the-scenes work. I go on camera, as I'm doing today. I do a lot of things. My favorite thing to do is direct. I've directed the news a couple of times. What I've done most often for the news is technical direct, which is switching, which is really very important. I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of the news, we do those quick cuts back and forth between you and Roger. So those cuts have to be done very quickly, so I'm the one sitting on the board actually reading the script as you're talking and doing the cuts very quickly.
Well, what exactly are you cutting? We're not making paste here.
Yeah, we're not making paste. We're cutting from a shot of you to a shot of Roger to a shot of you to a shot of Roger as you do your quick intros for each show. And it's really a lot of fun. And then I sit and read the news, read the script as you're reading it, and then do another cut with paste and glue from one shot to another shot.
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, gosh, about a year and a half, I would say, for a very long time.
And you notice that you're already speaking television talk.
Oh, am I?
With your quick cuts and fades and so forth. Yes, actually, what you're doing is touching the buttons that are going to switch from one camera to another, because on this show, as on our news shows, we're using 3 cameras.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
How did you get into this in the first place?
Well, I was involved with LMC TV, and I wanted to do more. And so I got involved with the news, and then I really enjoyed it because I got to meet a lot of political people. I've also done a lot of interviews. I interviewed Joe Fraioli, I've interviewed Paul Noto, I've interviewed a lot of the people that in Mamaroneck itself. So I've really learned a lot about Mamaroneck and the community. I live in Mamaroneck, but also Larchmont, through doing the news. I've also done some fun pieces. I've done some people on the street pieces, which are always fun, sort of begging everyone to, what do you think about the war, that kind of thing. And those are a lot of fun.
You're not a native of Larchmont.
No, I didn't grow up around here.
So this was a good way for you to come from somewhere else and learn about the community you live in.
An excellent way. And I've made so many wonderful friends, and the closest of which have really been the news crew. Many a night we'll sit and we'll work on the news, and we'll get through. We'll feel so relieved. We all go out and have drinks and party afterwards and just have a good time. Lots of good friends.
What do you do for work?
Well, at the moment, I'm in the process of some career counseling, and hopefully I'm going to come to something wonderful. I was previously a asset manager for real estate, an executive doing that, and I could transfer a lot of those skills surprisingly, to to the TV production.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I wasn't really prying, but I'm asking because one good thing for us to know is what backgrounds people come from to this kind of a volunteer organization. And most of us, I'm an exception, I guess, but most of us come from non-television backgrounds. Monique, you actually are a freelance writer.
Yes.
What kind of writing do you do? It's not news writing.
Well, primarily my background has always been advertising, but I've done some journalism. I've written some articles for Women's News, which only whetted my appetite for broadcast. Now I'm doing a series of brochures on for HIV positive, but that's not the only thing I do. I also have a singles movie group that I run, and I'm a Mary Kay representative for everybody who wants to get beautiful. And the news group works right in that because it's something else that's absolutely wonderfully fun, and it's with a group of people that support you in trying new things and growing in your skills.
Now, you particularly specialize in school news.
That's right.
For our program. What interested you there? Why did you kind of
I was at a
get in that
PTA
area?
meeting, one of the few PTA meetings I had attended, and someone asked if anyone was interested in doing the school news. At that point, I didn't even know there was a news show. But I was given Randy Norum's name, and I gave her a call. And the next thing I knew, the next week, I was behind a desk giving school news. And it's been a wonderfully rich experience. I talked to both the Rhinex school system and the Mamaroneck school system weekly, checking out what's going on. And it's given me an opportunity to feature different children, bring them on. This past week, we have kids that are in plays, and they perform. And it's a nice way to highlight the schools. And it's been a marvelous way to get into the community for me.
How long have you lived in Larchmont?
I've lived in Larchmont for 7 years, and I've been involved with the news show for 1 year, and I can say that I've only truthfully really lived in Larchmont the 1 year that I've been working on the news show.
Because you've learned so much about the community now.
Absolutely, and made such wonderful dear friends.
Well, that's terrific. Let's swing over to Lynn Goodman. Lynn is going to be a mother soon, and we're all very proud. But Lynn, actually, you're relatively new to the community, is that right?
That's right. We moved into the area, my husband and I, last summer, and we didn't know a soul in Larchmont. One day I was looking through one of the brochures I get from the community and to see what kind of services are offered, and it said Larchmont, Mamaroneck Community TV. And I used to be a radio newscaster a number of years ago, and I thought, this sounds like so much fun. I just want to see what it's all about. So I called, and it turns out that the LMC TV was having a Christmas party the day I called, and they said, come on over, and I went over, and I mentioned to one person that I was interested in news, and all of a sudden, 3 people were surrounding me saying, oh, come on Thursday, and the next minute I was on the air somehow. I don't quite know how it all happened so quickly, but ever since then, I've been trying to make a regular habit out of it.
Well, that's terrific, and we enjoy having you, of course. But your radio career was some time ago, and in between then, you've gone into an entirely different career.
That's right. I'm an attorney, and I practice as a litigator in a Manhattan law firm, which makes it difficult for me to find the time to devote to LMC TV. I've missed a few Thursday nights because I've had to work, but whenever I can, I try and come down. I just find that dealing with non-lawyers is especially refreshing after spending so many hours with lawyers. And the people who I've met at the Larchmont TV are just really special. I mean, everybody is in it to work together and to have fun. And that's something that's exactly what I want to do when I get home.
Yes, we all get the same fee.
Yeah.
For each show. Nothing. All right, let's move on to Barbara Brown. You are from South Africa originally.
Right. Yes.
How long have you been here?
21 months.
Oh, it's still counting in months, so it's a very short time, not even 2 years yet. But this, too, then, is a good way for you to learn something about the community.
Very good way. I find that since I've been working on the news show, I've become much more involved and learned much more about Mamaroneck and Larchmont and met wonderful people.
Good, and you're helping us all with good diction, too.
Thank you.
But now, Barbara, you have kind of an interesting situation. You're both a student as well as working, correct?
Yes, I'm a student. I'm doing a master's degree in social work, and I counsel emotionally disturbed children. And I work in the news.
Well, it's a terrific background and brings a little different perspective to us. because you, even though you may be a little older or advanced than the normal students, you do bring kind of a student's perspective to us, which is probably useful, don't you think?
There are a lot of mature students in my class, as we are called.
Oh, pardon me. Well, that's the kind of thing I meant, pointing out our faux pas, or when we may say the wrong thing. Let me throw it open for a minute and ask what you all like best about the program, about working on it, because all four of you are really regular participants and work on it frequently, even though none of us can make every meeting. You know, we do come as often as we can. Barbara, how about you?
I think what I like best is interviewing people in the community, and I've learned a lot that way. I had a very funny experience once. Rita Blockton and I went out to interview a new fish shop that had opened, and he does takeouts. And I had to eat some takeout and comment on it. And I ate it. This was at 9 o'clock in the morning, and Rita said, "Cut, do it again." I must have eaten a whole bowl of tuna salad in 15 minutes. It was delicious, but too much. But that was fun.
Well, I can tell you that even the professional interviewers or reporters do a lot of takes. And sometimes we do a lot of takes at places where the food is good, too, if you have to. Lynn, how about you? What have you found about the most intriguing or appealing part of this?
Well, the most appealing part of it is the people that you work with. The fact that people come with such diverse backgrounds, and they join together, and they work together on something, you know, to benefit the community. If I had the time, I think another benefit is the creative outlet that LMC TV affords. You can come to the station with an idea for a program or a story, and everyone will be very supportive. And if you have the time to put it in, you can produce a show that will be broadcast throughout your community, which I think is really special.
Terrific. Well, we're always open to good ideas. It's a precious commodity, good ideas. And Monique, how about you?
I like every aspect of it. I love jumping in the car with Rita and the camera and going to shoot something, not knowing what's going to come up. I love the regular news meetings that we hold once a month, because there's real journalistic integrity from you and from Roger Norum to discuss how to approach a story and how to do it with good journalistic credentials. And I love the rush of every week, never knowing exactly what's going to happen, but everybody showing up, everybody doing their job, everybody being totally competent and responsible, and seeing how everybody's grown on the show.
Terrific. Nancy, you're our volunteer of the year, so you must really like this.
My favorite thing is really to work as hard as you can on something, go out and just have everything fit together and come out with this gorgeous product. And to really be proud of something when you're watching it on TV. I know that there's been a lot of good editing lately on the news. And just to see something that's really great, like a terrific, terrific story and a terrific news show, and just say, wow, it all just fit together perfectly, and it just came out so wonderful. And sort of to see the fruits of your labor. And I think that's the thing where I get the most thrill out of it, is just I'm proud of what came out.
Well, that's terrific. But of course, part of it then is that you're learning a lot about television. Working here, as you say, you've only been doing this a year and a half. And if you know what quick edits are, and you know what dissolves are and fades, and you know how to put all this together, there's only one place you could have learned it, and that's here. Let me explain before we close that I am one of the two people who do television and radio professionally. Roger Norum is the other. I work for Channel 11, WPIX. I'm executive producer of news there. And I guess one of the things I like best about LMC News is that it's an all-volunteer operation. So we have a very large group of people who are very eager and happy to learn as much as possible about television and television news, how it works, how we put a story together, how we do editing, how we do camera shots, how directing is done. There are a lot of people here who really know their stuff, and I'm happy to be part of it, and if I can help any of you when you come to join us on a Thursday night about 7 o'clock, why, I'd be happy to. So why not join us? We tape our news program every Thursday starting about 7:30, We start first by writing the items and then putting the show together. You'll find us in the LMC studios. It's in the Palmer Avenue building of the high school. It's just across the street and up the steps from Walter's Hot Dogs. Everybody knows where Walter's is. But just walk in the door and say, I'm here, I want to work on the program, and anybody in there will be happy to shake your hand and show you just where to go and sit you down and give you a job to do. You'll learn a lot about television, a lot about television news. So thank you very much for joining us, and our thanks to Barbara and Monique and Nancy and Lynn. We hope we'll see you here on either this side of the camera or behind it one Thursday night soon. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy our program. Goodbye.
This summer's rapes enlargement, an update on the investigations.
Quarrel about taxes in Mamaroneck.
Terrific car scores in Mamaroneck.
A Larchmont police clerk retires after 25 years.
A new Commodore for a Mamaroneck club.
This week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Enid Preter.
And I'm Sven Oehme. Our top story tonight. For the village of Larchmont, 1991 has been a year of a lot of fun and excitement surrounding numerous festivities and a year of horror and fear. The village celebrated its centennial with a parade, festivities all over the village, and finally fireworks in the manor. Earlier in the year, the fire department had already held its own centennial party and parade after 100 years of service to the community. But all the festivities were overshadowed by the rape incidents. The first rape occurred in April and a second one at the end of August, and at least one case of sexual assault was reported in Larchmont during the summer. Larchmont police recently released some of the results of their investigation in the two rape cases. By forensic analysis, detectives were able to determine that the attacker in both rapes was the same person. That person is described as a medium-built black man. The rapes and the centennial celebration, they both provoked a greater sense of community in the village. Enid?
A new law which is being discussed by Mamaroneck village officials could disband the current taxi commission, placing the job of regulating taxis into the hands of the Mamaroneck Village Detective Bureau. Difficulties in securing volunteers for the present commission is the apparent reason for the change. The Mamaroneck Village Detective Bureau will handle the supervision of inspections and the issuance of permits and taxi licenses. New inspection criteria is also being considered. A public hearing will take place at the Mamaroneck Village Board of Trustees on January 13th.
A couple on Constable Drive. Longtime residents in the Orienta section of Mamaroneck has complained to the village that noise from the trap shooting range at Orienta Beach Club has increased this year and has become an intrusion of their Saturday peace. Village officials responded by saying that the facility is run in accordance with the law and the permit issued by the village. Under the permit, the facility at Orienta Beach Club can be used Thursdays and Saturdays between 11 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. from October 31st until March 31st. The village has asked that the club should consider additional voluntary measures to muffle the noise. Enid?
The ongoing construction of the Mamaroneck sewer treatment plant has been blamed for the aesthetic decline of the Harbor Island Park. While the $160 million project is set to be completed by March of 1993, village officials are in agreement that the entrance to the park has suffered visually, and various reports and plans for improving the 44-acre site have been discussed. The Harbor Island Park planning study was devised by a consultant to study the optimum field configuration and landscaping for the site. The talks are continuing.
For those of you looking for someone to wrap your holiday gifts, Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Eileen Deutsch has the answer.
Many Mamaroneck and Larchmont residents are donating their time during this holiday season to the American Medical Center for Cancer Research. For the 17th year, our neighbors will be glad to box and gift wrap your holiday presents for a suggested donation at the upper level in the New Rochelle Mall. The volunteers work from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week until Christmas Eve, December 24th. The proceeds will go to the American Medical Center for Cancer Research in Denver, Colorado. This is Eileen Deutsch for LMC News. Enid?
The May 28, 1991 construction accident that took the life of a Yonkers man has caused his widow to sue the Mamaroneck Village, the Mamaroneck Town, and the County of Westchester for $32.5 million. The widow of Riley Thomas, Vanessa Rose Thomas, is being represented by an attorney in Manhattan. The Yonkers Contracting Company, which is accused of numerous violations of federal safety standards, is not being sued. New York state law protects them from the suit because they had covered the worker with workman's compensation. Mamaroneck officials deny any responsibility for the accident and feel that the wrong people are being sued. The papers were filed December 5th in White Plains. Larchmont police and fire officials are bidding for new equipment. With more on that, we turn to Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Joe Chamberlin. Joe?
A budget meeting for Larchmont's police and fire departments was held by the Village Board of Trustees Wednesday night. For the police department, a fiscal priority is allotment for a county-wide 911 installation. For the fire department, a local training system for volunteers is paramount. The plans discussed are for the upcoming year, and they have not yet been voted on. The public safety sector of our government consumes approximately 1/3 of the general fund budget, with increases annually since 1987. It remains to be seen whether next year will follow the same course. Sven?
Politicians, residents, and town officials in Mamaroneck Town are currently discussing the upcoming budget. The town has proposed an increase of the tax rate. A group of residents has suggested to freeze the tax rate. Town administrators are trying to make ends meet. Tax delinquency has increased significantly, while other revenues are declining due to the slow economy. Suggestions are being made to cut some services that the town provides, but town officials say that they cannot make significant cuts in addition to those that have already been made. Mamaroneck School District gets some high marks. Here with more on that story, Kimberly Simonton. Kimberly?
Well, Sven, results from the 1990-91 Comprehensive Assessment Report have earned high marks for the Mamaroneck School District. The report details student achievement based on their work on several state tests. At least 95% of all the 3rd, 5th, and 6th graders who took the pupil evaluation program and 8th graders who took the preliminary competency tests scored above the state standard. The above-average scores indicate strong achievement throughout the system. Enid?
A Mamaroneck High School senior, and coincidentally the son of a Larchmont Mamaroneck community news anchor, is off to the Junior Olympics. Kimberly Simonton spoke recently with Roger Norum, Jr.
So you've qualified for the Junior Olympics in fencing.
That's
now,
right.
when do the Junior Olympics take place?
They're going to be held in the middle of February in Kansas City, Missouri.
And how did you get there? How did you qualify?
Well, there was in the fencing gym, there were a bunch of signs, advertising the qualifying rounds, which were held up at Manhattanville College in Purchase, and I figured why not try, so I fenced in 2 weapons: épée, which is the weapon I fenced in high school, and foil, which is a basic weapon that most every fencer has fenced. And I tried that out, and I ended up qualifying in foil, which is a weapon I don't normally fence in, and I qualified as an alternate in épée.
So you're part of the fencing team here.
That's right.
At the high school. And how many people are on this team?
This year, we lost a lot last year. A lot of the seniors left, but there are a lot of new incoming freshmen, so I'd say we have about 40 fencers this year.
And did anyone else qualify from the team?
Yeah, there's a couple. Eric Engel, Valerie Mandel and John Allen qualified for Sabre. And so as far as I know, we're all going to be going out there together.
Good, and there's a fencing tournament coming up.
That's right. This Saturday, there's the MHS Invitational, which is an annual meet, which about 10 or 11 different schools from the county come around, and we all have one big fence-off. So that's a great event. So hope you all come out and support that.
We'll all come out and see you, friends. Now, how did you start fencing?
I started actually my sophomore year. And I'd heard about it, talked with a couple of my friends about it. It seemed kind of interesting, so I went out and tried it, and it turns out I really enjoy it, and hopefully pursue it in college as well.
Great, excellent. Well, good luck to you at the Junior Olympics.
Thanks.
If you think of going down Valley Road in Mamaroneck Town, you'd better take your four-wheel all-terrain vehicle. Sunken manholes covers have made the ride a very bumpy one. After complaints from residents, the town promised to look into it and perhaps clear the hazards. But until that happens, drive carefully on Valley Road, especially at night. With news on health care issues, we now turn to Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News reporter Julie Gilligan. Julie?
The Visiting Nurse Services in Westchester hosted a legislative breakfast on December 6th. National, state, and county legislators participated. Over 40 organizations in Westchester co-sponsored this event, including nursing schools, medical schools, insurers, home care, health providers, and government agencies. The initiative was a direct response to concern expressed by the Westchester 2000. There are many, many people in Westchester without adequate medical coverage, many who cannot pay their medical bills. Shortly after the new year, the Visiting Nurses of Westchester will bring together the same participants to write a position paper and make recommendations to improve health care in our county. For more information, we invite you to call the Visiting Nurse Service, ask for Joseph J. Burns, the president. The visiting nurses are located at 360 Mamaroneck Avenue, White Plains.
A veteran employee of the Larchmont Police Department retires. For more on the story, we turn to Kimberly Simonton.
Thanks, Enid. When Annette Vudo turned 65 in October, she decided it was time to start enjoying her life. Vudo has been the police clerk at the Larchmont Police Department for 25 years. She spent her final day at work last Thursday. Vudo's career began in January of 1966. She has lasted through 3 police chiefs and numerous changes in the department, including the addition of computers in 1990. Vudo is one of the village's longest-term employees, and all of us wish her well in her retirement. Sven?
The Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club has elected a new Commodore. Her name is Jerry Winston, and she is the first woman ever to be Commodore of the club. That will celebrate its 40th anniversary next year. Before becoming Commodore, Winston has served the club as a recording secretary and as rear Commodore. She actually already has had some very detailed training for the post of Commodore. Her husband was Commodore of the club in 1988 and in 1989. Enid?
Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News reporter Kimberly Simonton spoke recently with Deputy Mayor of Larchmont, Cheryl Louie. Kimberly?
The Larchmont Village is trying to warn people against dumping. They're placing some signs in the area. Where are these signs being put up?
There are 2 signs. One is by East Creek, which is close to Flint Park. The other is on the Boston Post Road near Tony's Nursery, where the Premium River, Pinebrook River, comes out from underground.
And what do you mostly found dumped there in these places?
The one near the Post Road by the Pinebrook is mostly oil and things that go into a storm sewer that's about 5 or 10 feet away from the placement of the sign. And at East Creek, there are all sorts of construction debris and tires and things that have been dumped there over the years that we clean out on a regular basis. Sometimes with heavy machinery.
And there's going to be a fine for dumping, or there is a fine for dumping?
There's a fine for violating village laws at all times, up to $250, but the Coastal Zone Management Commission would like to see a stiffer fine for dumping into Long Island Sound, and so they're going to ask the board if they would consider increasing the fine as high as $1,000.
Veterans in Westchester remembered Pearl Harbor recently. Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News reporter Joe Chamberlin has the details. Joe?
December 7th at Westchester Community College, there was a commemoration of the survivors of the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor. Dozens of American Legion and VFW posts representing their colors attended. The presentation included several distinguished speakers, including Brigadier General John Flanagan, U.S. Air Force Reserve. The event was hosted by the Westchester County Veterans Advisory Board. Primarily, the veterans wanted to recognize and present congressional awards to the 19 survivors present for the formalities.
Thanks, Joe. Will Mamaroneck Harbor have a waterfront restaurant on its shores? Larchmont Mamaroneck news reporter Paula Panzarella has an update.
Thanks, Sven. The company that owns Chart House Restaurant in Dobbs Ferry is unable to make formal application for Mamaroneck Harbor Waterfront Restaurant. In 1981, Chart House was chosen from among 3 companies that had submitted proposal to the village for a waterfront restaurant. In November 1989, the Chart House revives an 8-year-old proposal to build a restaurant, public dock, and marina at Mamaroneck Harbor. Mayor Paul Noto says that he would be excited to have a waterfront restaurant, but stresses that any public projects should blend with the surroundings. Mike Plant, Chart House spokesman, said that the chain has not made formal application to open in the village, but the project remains a major priority.
With this week's movie review, here is LMC News movie reviewer Pat Micalizzi. Pat?
What would you do if somebody told you that by age 11 you would be a superstar making millions of dollars for each performance and working with people like Michael Jackson, John Candy, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Dan Aykroyd? Sounds like a dream come true, doesn't it? Well, this dream has come true for 11-year-old Macaulay Culkin. Since his rise to superstardom in last year's Home Alone, this child star is surely enjoying the good life. Well, now he's back for the holidays this year with newcomer Anna Chlumsky in My Girl, the new comedy drama from Columbia Pictures. Chlumsky makes her film debut as Veda, a young tomboy whose best friend, Thomas J., is played by Culkin. Her father, played by Dan Aykroyd, is a widower and a mortician. Their home is located where else but the funeral parlor. Needless to say, Veda's life is a bit different than the other kids on the block. She climbs trees, she fishes, rides bikes, and cons her friends for cash to peek inside of caskets. Sounds normal, right? Well, when Jamie Lee Curtis enters the picture as her father's new love, the insecure little tomboy is just a bit jealous. Let's take a look.
N38. N42. Under the N42.
Oh, great. This is your dad and Shelley. Shh. He wasn't to see me.
So I'm just not lucky, Harry.
Oh, look, it's not always luck. I mean, depending upon the placement of the numbers, a guy with 10 cards can win just as easily as a guy with 100.
33.
Kind of like men.
Under the N.
How do you mean?
3.
You can be in a room with 100 men, and not like any of them. Or you can be in a room with just one man. He's exactly the one you want.
B1. Under the B, 1.
Bingo!
I love that clip. Macaulay Culkin is terrific as Thomas J., but young Anna Chlumsky steals the show. This film, although funny at times, deals with a childhood death, which has concerned many parents. But believe me, it's handled with such taste, you shouldn't judge it until you see it. Check it out. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Pat Micalizzi.
Thanks, Pat. And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, your neighborhood news program on Channel 36.
You can watch us every weekday night at 7 or at midnight to find out what's going on in your community.
This has been our final news show for this year. If you'd like to join us next year to become part of our team, come to the studio on a Thursday evening starting at about 7. From all of us here at Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, happy holidays and all the best for 1992. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Enid Preter.